Okay, so I want to talk with you now about the concept of cloud computing. Okay, so first off and foremost, the concept of cloud computing is really not a new concept. A lot of people think it is a new concept. It's not. First off, the term cloud has been around for a very long time, although the term cloud now definitely means a few different things than it used to 20 years ago. The concept of cloud computing now is you are hosting something as a service on the internet. Now, this is not a new concept. I like to use this analogy. Okay, essentially, think about my cars that I own. So I have a wife and I have some daughters. My daughters have their own vehicles, and so I've got to deal with a bunch of vehicles in my driveway. And of course, my vehicles, sometimes they break down. Okay, so let's say that I want to manage the repairs of my vehicle myself, What I could do is I could purchase all the equipment needed to make myself an auto mechanic shop out of my garage. I could turn my garage into an auto mechanic shop, and I could deal with the repairs myself. I could get a hydraulic lift, I could buy all the tools, I could get all the training, everything that's needed to do these auto mechanic procedures myself. Okay, or instead of me spending the money to do all that and get all the knowledge and keep the equipment updated and all that, I could pay an auto mechanic shop that does that job as a service. Okay, and I don't have to deal with it. Guys, that's what cloud computing is. You're basically paying somebody else. You're paying for a service to be hosted for you. So here's what's happened. Companies like Amazon and Microsoft and IBM, they've built these huge data centers full of equipment. So you're talking lots of server blades, you're talking tons of processing power, tons of RAM, tons of storage. You're talking fiber optic network equipment, the best of the best. Load balancing equipment, firewall equipment, everything is built in these warehouses that have been placed strategically all over the world, okay, so that they get a tremendous amount of redundancy, okay. And so from there, these data centers, this is what makes up what these companies are calling their cloud. This is connected. These clouds are connected to the internet. All these data centers are connected to the internet, and they're all connected together. And it's an ever-changing thing. It can grow, it can shrink, different locations can be opened up. Now, Microsoft's main cloud technology is called Azure. Now, I want to introduce you to a acronym on that, IaaS. IaaS is Infrastructure as a Service, and Microsoft Azure is Microsoft's Infrastructure as a Service product. Also want to throw out, that's how I pronounce that word Azure. Some of you guys may pronounce it Azure. One time I actually went out and tried to research the proper way to say that word, and I was watching the developer videos of the Microsoft guys who created it, and guess what? They all pronounce it different too. Some of them call it Azure, some of them call it Azure. So, tomato, tomato. But Azure is Microsoft's Infrastructure as a Service cloud product. And what it is basically you will get access to their cloud if you get an Azure tenant subscription, and you can host virtual machines out on their cloud. So if I wanted to, I could actually host all of these things that you see on premise. I could host them on their cloud if I wanted to, okay, in their cloud environment. And they give me access to a directory service called Azure AD, Azure Active Directory, that's going to let me link to all of my user accounts, passwords, and all that. And if I wanted to link these two together, my on-prem Active Directory and Azure AD, I could. Okay, but not going to get into that just yet. So I get access to virtual machines. I get access to Azure AD. And the great thing about it is I just pay for what I use. I pay for the CPU usage I use. I pay for the RAM that I use, storage, networking, and some of the appliances like load balancers and things like that I use. And they give me access to all that. Now, there are two other cloud terms that I want to introduce you to. The first is PaaS, and the second is SaaS. Okay, PaaS is platform as a service. Okay, and SaaS is software as a service. Now, originally, Microsoft was calling their PaaS and SaaS technology, they were calling it Office 365, but this confused everybody because when you hear that term Office 365, everybody thinks of Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all that. And this cloud environment is a lot more than that. So what they ended up doing in the last year or so, they renamed this to Microsoft 365. So what you're going to find is when they are referring to the IaaS portion of their cloud, they use the term Azure. When they're referring to the PaaS and SaaS version of their cloud, they're talking about Microsoft 365. Okay, so what do you get with those? So platform as a service means they're hosting a software-based platform for you that you can use and manage and deploy and all of that. So like, for example, I get Office 365, I get the platform of that for deploying Office 365, but I also get something called Office Online, which is a software as a service version of that, which is where I've got apps that users can access through the cloud. I also get the Exchange Online platform. So I get Exchange, email, and all that hosted in the cloud. I get SharePoint Online. Okay, so I essentially get SharePoint available to my people. Okay, I get Skype for Business, which of course is now becoming Teams, which is their big collaboration technology that you're going to use for collaborating and chatting, video conferencing, voice over IP, all that good stuff as part of the deal. I get this thing called Intune, which is Microsoft's MDM/MAM technology. That gets into the concept that you can control smartphones, tablets, laptops, as well as even desktops in your own environment. And this is very similar to what SCCM does, if you know what that product is, System Center Configuration Manager, but it doesn't necessarily completely replace that. It's a cloud solution for managing your devices. And you even get a feature called Autopilot that I'm going to talk more about, which is being able to automate the deployment of your computers. Okay, so you get a tremendous amount of capabilities. You get something called security as a service, okay, which you get access to all these tools for managing classifications and encryptions and being able to do e-discovery for forensics and evidence collection. There's so many things that they're giving you. I don't have enough room, honestly, in my little cloud diagram to draw everything that you get, because you just get so much. You also get OneDrive for Business. I'll just put 4B. OneDrive for Business, which is a cloud storage solution. You get so many things with it, and it acts as a subscription service. Now, the other thing I want to mention is that you can link your on-prem environment, which is ADDS. Your on-prem environment is called, from Active Directory standpoint, is called ADDS. ADDS stands for Active Directory Domain Services. Okay, Active Directory Domain Services. That's what that acronym stands for. And so what you can do is you can connect Active Directory Domain Services with Azure AD if you want, and you can synchronize things. I can set up a server called Azure AD Connect. All right, Azure AD Connect is a special server that you can use to synchronize your on-premise Active Directory user accounts, passwords into the cloud. Now, do you have to have a separate server? It can actually be a domain controller, but it is recommended that it is a separate server. Okay, and that server is going to synchronize whatever you want. Do you have to synchronize all of your users, passwords, groups out to the cloud? Absolutely not. You have control over what actually gets synchronized. They call this a hybrid solution. A hybrid solution is where we link our on-premise Active Directory with our cloud scenarios, our cloud functions, okay, and synchronize whatever we want to synchronize. Okay. So this is giving you an idea of where Microsoft is going. Microsoft is definitely heading towards the cloud. Now, are they just abandoning everything on premise? Absolutely not. We still have access to all of that stuff. It's still available. But what they're trying to encourage everybody to do is to utilize their cloud environment. Now, one thing I want to point out real quick that's different with Azure, the IaaS service that they're using, that you're going to pay for the usage of the CPU, the memory, the storage. With Microsoft 365, you're just paying a subscription fee for these products, and you can use them as much as you want. There's not like a limitation on CPU, memory, any of that. You're going to actually find that the two technologies complement each other. So when you actually get a Microsoft 365 account, you're going to still have access to some of the Azure stuff. And if you want to host things like VMs and all that, you can. So the great thing about the cloud is I can, with the creation of virtualization and elasticity, this is what cloud computing really is all about. You're able to host this stuff online, and it can use elasticity. You need more CPU power, it can give it to you instantly. You need more RAM, it can give it to you instantly. You need more storage, network, whatever it is. They can scale you out, and then when you're not using all those resources, they can scale you back. Okay? So hopefully this gives you guys a really decent foundation understanding of where things were, kind of the present situation we're in, and then kind of where Microsoft is heading. As you can see, as they say, their heads are in the clouds right now. They're definitely trying to coerce people to moving into the clouds, and even in all their different exams and courses, this is sort of the big things that they're focused on right now.